Hi, everyone. All right, so we're going to get into a little card reading. And so here's the thing. I am going to actually pose a question because I have been struggling with a particular friendship and just needing spirit's guidance pertaining on how I feel about this friendship, how my friend feels about it, and where, guidance and where do we go, like what's next? What's next between the friendship? And let me give you a little backstory. So I've known my friend for, almost 20 years now. And she's always been a dear friend of mine. People who have known us know that we have been like the closest of friends and like sisters, really. However, she is a devout Christian. And I, have a past with Christianity. My parents grew up in the church, and as a result, they were raising myself and my sister as Christians. And then as I started to grow into my own spiritual faith and my own spiritual path, I still had a bond, a connection with God, but things evolved for me and I moved away from the organized religion of Christianity. So she hasn't. She's actually very much involved in the church. She has now a higher position in the church. And, I've never begrudged her or any of my friends for their Christian faith. They're beautiful people, and it is a beautiful religion for them. Is it for me? No. But I love that people have their own faiths, their own belief systems. And I just ask in return that I get the same grace. And many of my Christian friends have no problems with doing that. But I'm starting to sense something and I'm sad about it. I'm sad because I'm like, what does this mean for our friendship? And what I mean by what I'm sensing is before I really, so in 2016, January 2016, I really started getting into card reading and, tarot and oracle. And that was just something that I really was feeling and loving. And it was helping me through a crazy crisis in my life. And I also was receiving the power of prayer from many well-meaning friends, both of Christian faith and non-Christian faith. And I just was like, this is the path for me, is to help others through the biggest and smallest of challenges with the cards, because I believe I have a divine connection. I believe we all do, to the universal flow, to spirit. And I wanted to help others be able to tap into that as well. But she would make comments like, oh, that stuff isn't real. Or like when I would say, oh, I made a prediction, or oh, I did this or that, she would just kind of blow it off. And it hurt my feelings, but I said, I understand where it's coming from. But over time, it became a dynamic in our relationship where I hid everything about my tarot practice. I hid everything about my budding tarot business. And now to the point where I just don't want to hide it anymore. Clearly, I'm doing this, right? And I'm doing this full time now. I retired from my traditional work life, and I really have no intentions of going back to that way of working anymore. Will I work again in that traditional capacity? Who knows? I set no intentions for that, but I am not, going to say never, right? But last night she asked me, what are you going to do? Like, what's going on? How's it going? You've been out there, in the DR for 4 months. Are you looking for work? Do you plan on looking for work? And it's not like she doesn't know that I have a tarot and coaching business, but it was almost, again, like a flippant, oh, well, that's not you know, that's not important. That's not a real job. It's not a real career. And I told her, I'm like, no, I'm doing this full time and I don't intend on working for an American. I mean, I would probably, if I did go back to work, it would probably be for an American company or organization, but I don't want to right now. I just don't. But so anyways, all that to say, I was like, I'm doing something special for me for a change. After all my work life years, I'm finally able to try to work on something that is all my own. Not because I have to, because I have children to support or a mortgage to pay. No, because this is the work I'm called to do. So it just rubbed me again the wrong way, guys. Sorry for this long intro, and I'll try to keep the reading brief. But I wanted to see how this deck works with reading situations because I feel like it's a spiritual and powerful deck, and I think it'll help me in this situation. So, all right, Spirit, please give me a card that represents me in this situation, me in this friendship. The Chariot, Cedar. Okay, Spirit, now give me a card that represents my friend. What is going on with my friend and this friendship that we share? Justice, Cannabis. Now, what's funny is this should be vice versa. I have a very much an appreciation for this herb. But I love it. I think that's powerful in and of itself. We're one and of the same. And we maybe want, similar things, but it doesn't seem that way. Spirit, what is the guidance here? What's the guidance? Okay. Curandera of air, rosemary. It kind of jumped out sideways, kind of in reverse. I'll have it upright, but recognize that we'll be looking at all aspects of the King of Air. All right, and then the outcome. What's next for our friendship? What is next for our friendship? What's next for our friendship? And any... Oh, 2 cards jumped. Temperance, Camellia. 2 of Earth, Witch Hazel. Okay. And I may consult my oracle from time to time to help us out, as well as the guidebook. So the Chariot is the card that represents me. The card that represents me is saying, I am now... this is my will, this is what I'm manifesting, this is what I've set my intentions on. I'm moving fast forward, and I really am I am steering my chariot in one direction. It's super important for me. And at times, it may not be understood at this pace of where I'm going, but it feels good to me. Of what I'm doing, the pace I'm going, what I'm setting my intentions on, what I'm trying to manifest, where my will is where it's going, right? With her, the Justice card, I think it represents her really also wanting a friendship. She wants it as much as I do, but she's trying to reconcile, her religious beliefs, knowing in her mind that that's right and true and fair and just and what should be done. And then also trying to still hold on to the friendship. Hence why I love the cannabis little references, because, not that she smokes, by the way, not that she consumes the herb, but she, never knocked me or my friends who did. So, but I'm curious to see Justice. Let's look at Justice. I'm going the wrong direction. Here we go. Well, no, I want to look at the Chariot. So key phrases is move forward with confidence, be disciplined, let yet flexible in your pursuits. Embody the journey. So similar to what I'm saying here, it's saying, and I like just the key phrases here, be disciplined yet flexible in your pursuits. And that's what I was talking about earlier. I'm never going to say never about where my work life takes me, right? I'm going to be flexible, but I'm still going to channel the energy towards that which I want to manifest for myself. And then the Justice card, seek the truth. So I think she was reaching out yesterday to seek the truth of what's really going on. Is she really going to say what she's doing and tell me straight on? I did. And then she says, make informed decisions, consider the consequences of your actions. So she's very much, in terms of these three key phrases, very much in the throes of that, I sense. That she's trying to see if this is something that she should continue on. She's gathering information. She's looking at me, is my friend still the same friend? Or is she someone else? Has she changed? Has she evolved? Can we, in her evolution, can we still be friends? She's trying to seek the truth. And so I think that's interesting. That I love the curandera of air, rosemary. Love rosemary. For time's sake, I'm just gonna go to the guidebook. But where is the curandera of air? It doesn't have reversals here. And that's fine because I can do reversals without it. But it says the curanderas corresponds to kings in traditional tarot decks. They represent faith in the mysterious. They approach adventures with kindness and curiosity about the outcome. The curanderas call us to a time of trust and respond to questions with maybe so. Linked to the initiation that began with deeper areas of study in the sevens, they represent the fulfillment of the Herbcrafter's higher calling. They are the keepers of the elements, showing us how to preserve and protect what we value. As guides, they offer the gift of wisdom. Wisdom. And so then if you go to the key phrase of curandera of air, adopt a story and pass it on. With pen, song, or brush, tell your story. And then what is remembered lives. So I think the guidance is both, in both the upright and the reversal. You know, with the king of air in reverse, he can be closed off, his way or the highway, not trying to hear what other people have to say and acting hastily and not so for the greater good of those involved. Whereas the upright is, just as the key phrases here says, the curandera of air is calm and collected. She agrees with what, I can't pronounce this, Chogyam Trungpa taught about spiritual materialism. Wisdom is not an ancient relic to be collected, but inspiration for new awareness. She knows the medicine of rosemary enhances cognitive function. Her mind is sharp and quick, but she talks very little. This is about listening. This is also about, it says, with pen, song, or brush, tell your story. I'm no longer going to shy away from sharing all of my authentic self. I have grown and I need to feel like I can share that safely in my friendships. But that being said, I'm willing to listen and also be quiet and still at moments in our friendship. It says she understands, I'm just going to skip around. She understands that words have wings, so she speaks only when she has something meaningful to offer. She is a wonderful listener. She says, tell me more. People are drawn to her honesty. Just as rosemary clears the mind, her counsel brings clarity and inspires peace. And I love that as advice because I think that is what I'm called to do. When I talked to her last night, what I was most moved by is that there hasn't been, I still love her. I still want a friendship with her. And I feel the same from her. But just like she may not be willing to compromise on her belief systems, and that's fine. I'm just no longer going to try to make her comfortable by hiding mine, by living, by living in the shadows. And you guys were probably like, you don't live in the shadows, you have a YouTube channel. But my YouTube channel is under a different name. My Facebook pages and, the group is one thing, but the page is in my Instagram is under Abundant Life Tarot. It's a part of me that was like, when I first created it, was like, yes, I wanted a different name from my own, but it was also because I was hiding a certain aspect, a big aspect of myself, to protect people who I care about and didn't want to throw in their face my beliefs. But that's no more. I have arrived in my spiritual growth. I'm continuing to evolve in that, and I want to continue to go deeper with it. And as a part of that, I share that. So I can't be concerned anymore with how it hits. I need to show my honest self, but also be a friend, still be a friend, a good listener like I've always been. The Temperance and Two of Earth cards is saying, in the coming year, I suppose, of this friendship, there's still going to be some balancing and give and take and juggling and navigating how we strike a balance and a harmony between one another. But what I'm encouraged by is that we both seem to want this. With the Temperance card, I sense that we are not going to just throw it away, but it's not going to come without some inherent challenges and ups and downs. So I'm just going to ride with that and trust that everything's going to work out in our highest good. And that, it's not going to be an easy street. But friendships go through ebbs and flows. But ultimately, in time, there is a beautiful harmony and balance that will be struck. And we will be able to, probably in a year or two time, be able to really enjoy one another. But it's going to be some adjustments and some navigation. But me showing up as my honest, authentic, and true self is a beautiful start. All right, guys, let me know if I know this is a longer daily draw video than we normally do, but I wanted to do a spread today, or do a reading of sorts on a live situation, my own personal situation, to see how the cards work. And they work beautifully. Yes, sometimes I consulted this, but I really didn't have to. The images drew something for me. I know a little something about cannabis and rosemary and witch hazel. So when I see the whole spread, it just gives me a lot of information. And so I wanted to hear from you. Have you been asking questions of this deck? Have you been doing spreads? Have you been working with it to see what kind of readings it produces for you? Share in the comments below, because I want to hear from you. Yeah, I put my business out there, and I rarely do, but I like to work with live questions, live situations, because I think that makes for the best reading examples when you're showing someone else a reading that you've done. It's best, it's not like some fake situation, right? All right, guys, that's it. I've rambled long enough. This is a long video for today, but needed to get that off my chest, and I feel much better about it. Take good care. Ciao.